What's up, everyone? It's time for a quick progress update for version 1090. Let's see. I'm going to go into the most recent build as of this morning. So I've made a couple of tweaks to this. And the first one I'll go into is this one. I've changed the notification cards that pop up. I've made them more flat. I had a lot of gradients going on and overlaying multiple effects. I've stripped those out. It was kind of distracting me from what was going on behind these cards, so I flattened them. And actually, while I'm in here, as you can see, while this process is running, this long running process, I've grayed out a lot of the options that would allow you to switch between different views, or edit, or select different platform-specific configurations. All of this has been grayed out and disabled until you actually cancel or the long-running process is actually completed. Actually, let me go into a games view. I'll kick off the same thing. Yeah, so all of this is kind of grayed out, so it's protected while this process is actually running. This is actually something that's going on in the forum build, but the more I looked at it, the more I wanted to change it. So I've kind of protected these areas now from selection, or sometimes edit. The edit button would be enabled while this is running, and you certainly don't want that to run. So anyway, that was one tweak. Let's see, I'll go into the editor because this is pretty much where let me disable the audio. All right, let's see. Any UI element with a V for visibility conditioning, you can just double click now and it takes you straight into the visibility conditioning editor. With a single click, it just simply positions to the visibility property within the appearance card tab. But like I said, double click, you can go straight in and edit. And if there weren't any visibility conditions, then obviously right click will allow you to go in there, define them. But anyway, it was just a quick shortcut. So there were a couple of things there, a couple of glitches I needed to fix. Right, so the meat and potatoes of what I've been working on really is the Adorners, okay? So the last progress update for 1090 that I had put out was specific to, you know, the progress I've made on the Adorners and hover tracking and all that good stuff, right? So you can select and it puts a focus rectangle around the selected UI element. And I said it wasn't without some bugs. Well, one of the bugs, and you can always go back and look or compare with a previous video, is that for something like, I think it's this one, yes, it's this one. So this one incorporates a margin to say that once I've rendered, I want a margin of 25 below my rendered UI element, okay? So hence this is the gap here of 25, okay? Well, on the previous progress update, what was happening was the focus rectangle was extending to the full height. So it was actually including the margin of 25. So the bottom of the focus rectangle was actually down here somewhere. All right. So I fixed that. Now the other thing I've corrected was I also mentioned in the previous update video was that there are certain rules when presenting these focus rectangles. Okay. So for example, if I click on the one over here, you can see that, you know, I would essentially be allowed to move, and I'm now displaying the appropriate mouse cursor, as you can see here, with the arrows, so I can move. But I have the thumbs being displayed. Okay, so I have the 8 thumbs, so you can, you know, move and resize and all that kind of good stuff. I mean, that's not 100% in place at the moment, but you get the idea. All these thumbs are in place, so that indicates right off the bat that you can move and resize diagonally or horizontally or vertically, whatever. Okay, but when we get into nested UI elements, it gets a little bit interesting. So for example, this one is not nested. It's not, its parent is basically the full screen. It's the canvas itself, okay? And hence you've got the X and Y coordinates, all right? But when you get into nested UI elements, you're not dealing with X and Y coordinates, all right? And so now what I have is things like this one, for example, where I don't have any margins set, that's fine, but I do have width set to auto size. So what this is saying is you're not allowed to move because you're within a parent, and that parent is a stack, okay? If it was a grid, I would be able to move it around just like any other kind of canvas. But this is a stack panel, so it's going to be relying on using these margin values, okay, for spacing. And because I've got width set to auto size, the only thing I'm allowed to do is to adjust the height. And like I said, I don't have all the code behind all the thumbs yet to do all the resizing. That's next, okay, now that I've got the rules in place. And obviously, as you can see here, as my mouse pointer is within the focus rectangle, the mouse pointer remains as a pointer, and it has not changed to the cross arrows, okay, like this one, okay. So yeah, this is saying here that I'm allowed to change the height only. All right. Now let's see this one. Auto size is not set on width or height, and therefore I'm allowed to change the width and the height only. Okay, so I can't change the left most side because that would be essentially potentially moving the UI element around. And I've still got some stuff to kind of think about when it comes to moving within non-grid. It might be a case of as I move around, I'm altering the margin values, so it gives the impression of doing the same thing. I don't know yet. All right, but I just want to start off with some rigid rules, and then I can always expand on that later. But yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. It's looking a lot better, and it may not look like a lot of progress, and strictly speaking, you would be correct. However, in order to show different styles of focus rectangle, so for example, I can only resize on the height. So if I change this to no longer auto size the width, it automatically changes the focus rectangle to say, hey, you can now resize the width and height. Okay. And I can do it for both width and height. I don't know what that's going to do. There you go. So it's resized to the actual original size of the image, but I cannot perform any kind of resize on this now. Okay. So it's removed the thumbs. I'll put it back to auto resize on the width. Now, that wasn't a great deal of effort. However, when I wanted the appearance to change from one state to another, either no state or various states if it's selected and you can manipulate that UI element, I realized that when I was actually applying these adorner layers, I had actually applied multiple iterations. So for example, this one, as my mouse pointer has entered this scroll text area here, the red border that's being placed over that UI element, every time I kind of moved out, I was assuming it was being destroyed, and then when I moved back in, it would be reapplied. But that wasn't true. So what was actually happening behind the scenes was it was layering. It was layering this rectangle or this red border multiple times. However many times I was re-entering that UI element with the mouse pointer. So I was wondering why the appearance of my focus rectangle was not changing, and that's because it still had the previous image or appearance image from the one before. So anyway, I had to clear all that up, and Adorners is completely brand new to me, and I'm going to keep saying that until I've actually finished with 1090, or at least the Adorner side of things. I've never dealt with it. I understand the concept, and it's very cool, but I've never worked with them. So I'm learning as I go, and so therefore I wasn't quite aware of, or at least the technique that I was using to destroy these adorners with an adorner layer obviously wasn't quite right, and I didn't realize that. But now I know, so live and learn as I go. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, it was, there were some other things that I had to do within the editor outside of Adorners. I just wanted to take care of those. But obviously performance is, front and center. It's the highest priority here. Yeah, performance and user experience, I guess, in way things are being presented and how you can manipulate. So like I said, I'm going to start off real slow, have these rigid rules in place. If you're not allowed to move, you're not allowed to move. And if you want to kind of alter, so in this case, for example, if I want to alter the left-hand side or move it over to the right, you go over here, you key in a margin value. Now in the future, it may be just a simple case of I can just pick it up and grab it and move it to the right. And that's actually dynamically changing the margin values as you drag it around within this parent here, okay? And I may do that. But at the moment, if I want to manipulate position of an embedded UI element within like a stack panel or a dot panel, this is the way I'm going to achieve it, at least for now. All right. So there's a couple of things I need to do, at least kind of finish up on the Adorner side of things. For example, if I uncheck auto size, the width of this focus rectangle, I don't believe it's 208. That value would have been whatever I had originally set it to, and then when I checked auto size, it's re-rendering that UI element, and it's obviously calculating within a certain space. At that point, I need to retrieve what that calculated width and height is now for that UI element, and then send it back in here. Even though it's grayed out, it's protected, I still want to show what the current width and height is, because you may have some other UI elements that you wish to apply maybe the same width or the same settings to. So these have got to be correct. So it's just some of these feedback values I need to grab when the UI element is being re-rendered, especially with something like this. But yeah, that's where it stands right now. Like I said, I want to kind of wrap up some of those rules, get these values retrieved upon re-render, and then I can start working on the interesting stuff of resizing and dragging and that way kind of get it back into where it was before, where I can manipulate these UI elements on screen, and then fix these glitches as I go. But yeah, that's where I stand. It's not the most thrilling of updates, but it gives you an idea of where it's at, how it's going to look when it finally comes out, and it's still fast, still very, very, very fast. Yeah, well, that's it. Probably be another week or two before I put another progress update video out there. Yeah, other than that, take care of yourselves, and I guess I'll see you in a week or two. So yeah, take care, everyone.